Okay, we're live. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Skeeter Harris with Mac Village Media, and I'm really excited. This is actually our third Google Hangout with Parallels. And today with me is Kurt Schumacher. Kurt, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Okay, so thank you for that congenial hi, Kurt. Kurt, for those of you that have, this is the first time you've joined us on Google Hangouts here. Kurt is the Senior Product Manager at Parallels. Has been there for about 2.5 years now. Prior to that, Kurt worked both at Apple and Microsoft for actually about a decade. He's written several books, including the first object-oriented book on programming for the Mac. And for those of you that might remember a software tool called Virtual PC from Connectix, Kurt was actually the VP of the Mac division at Microsoft, with Virtual PC, which is pretty cool. So it's amazing how far we've come, with the virtualization on the Mac, being able to run Windows, Linux, and many other operating systems. So, with that in mind, today's session is about Mavericks, OS X 10.9, the big wave Mavericks. And Kurt, and I'll interject occasionally here, but Kurt's going to primarily take us through some of the new features with Mavericks, but equally as important, how does Windows run on Mavericks? What software tools can you use? How does Parallels Desktop work with Mavericks? And with that in mind, Kurt, I'm gonna shut up and let you take it away.
Thank you, Skeeter. So let me make sure I'm projecting.
You are. I see it. You look
Very
good.
Okay, great. So, Skeeter, you're absolutely right. I'm going to do an overview of moving to Mavericks for a person who either is using or is considering to use Parallels Desktop. So what I'll be talking about is the following. So I'm going to make a couple of assumptions about people's usage and their machines and so on. I'm going to give you a quick, takeaway message about what versions work where and things like this, and then walk you through some of the features. In Parallels Desktop 9, we're able to integrate with some of the Mavericks features, and I'll either demo those or show you screenshots, depending on what's appropriate for each feature. And Mavericks is pretty cool. I've now migrated 3 machines to Mavericks. I'm very pleased, and I'll show you a couple other features I think Parallels Desktop users might find interesting. And then the last thing I'll do is show you a feature that you might not have considered before, and that's using Mavericks in a virtual machine. For some people, this has a great deal of use, and I'll talk about how you do that and why you would care and things like this. And then, if you're interested, I'll show you the steps you need to take to upgrade to Mavericks if you're a PD user. And that's my plan.
Now, Kurt, let me just jump in quickly. Couple things for those of you that are online right now on our Hangout. On the right-hand side of the screen should be a box that's going to allow you to ask questions, and we want to encourage you, both Kurt and I want to see questions, and please ask them. As moderator here for the session, I'll be sort of watching and interjecting and really prompting Kurt to answer your questions where when it makes the most sense. So by all means, give us your feedback, ask questions, and hopefully we can keep the session interactive. Back to you, Kurt.
Great. So with that intro, I agree with you. Questions will be very interesting to me. I'd be happy to try and answer them. Let me just jump into the topic. So I really made only a small set of assumptions. I assume that you're thinking about upgrading to Mavericks, which means you have a relatively recent machine, not like only a year or two old, but even could be older than that. But you don't have a Power Mac or something like that. And you're thinking about or are already a Parallels Desktop user. So whenever you do an OS upgrade, you want to think about the applications that you need to use and double check with the company that makes those applications to see if there's an upgrade needed. A number of the applications I use on a daily basis have had updates for Mavericks, and you want to get those typically before you move to the Mavericks. I'll talk about that a little bit later in some detail. So assuming you're in this category, that as you're thinking about Mavericks, you're thinking about or you have Parallels Desktop, let's talk about what the issues are and what the details are. So if you have Parallels Desktop for 9 for Mac, great. It runs just wonderful on Mavericks. It takes advantage of Mavericks features, as we always do in the latest release of Parallels Desktop. So that's great. You're in the best situation. If you're on Parallels Desktop 8, it runs up fine on Mavericks. However, it doesn't take advantage of any of the new Mavericks features. And in particular, one thing you can't do is create a Mavericks virtual machine. Whether or not that's important to you, or you'll have to decide. But I'll tell you what the advantages and disadvantages are later.
Hey, Kurt, just to jump in on that, on our last session, I know we talked about boot camp and virtual machines, but wasn't it something to do with licensing with Apple, and that Apple does not want you running a different virtualized OS than the one you're running on the machine itself?
They do like it if you're on the latest Mac OS release. You can go back in time and run some older Mac OSs, and I do that. It's going into the future that's hard. So running Mavericks as a guest OS when you're on Lion is a concern. It's hard to do. It can be done if you really, really care about it. It's probably in violation of the Apple license agreement, so it's not a great idea. I think that answered your question. Did I, Skeeter?
Yeah, it did, Kurt. Go ahead.
Great. And the last case is if you're on Parallels Desktop 7 or earlier, I got bad news for you. Those applications don't work on Mavericks at all. So if you're on Parallels Desktop 7 or earlier, you really want to upgrade, preferably to Parallels Desktop 9 to get the full features. But you want to do that before you move to Mavericks. Again, I'll talk about that in some more detail later. That's the takeaway. 8, 9, fine. 7 and earlier, not so good.
However, Kurt, just to interject though, right? I mean, doesn't Parallels Desktop 7, doesn't that qualify for the $49.99 upgrade as well, so that they, the people that have the 2-year-old version still can get Parallels Desktop 9 at a discounted rate, right? That's
correct, and we can show you some details about that later. If you're really, really old and on Parallels 6 or earlier, you don't qualify for any upgrade pricing. Okay, now let's get into the details. So let me tell you about some points in Mavericks that Parallels Desktop takes advantage of. One of the features of Mavericks is improved multi-monitor support, and that's great. So the engineers at Parallels took advantage of that new system feature and made the use of multiple monitors even easier and even more performant and stable than it was before. So here I'm showing you 2 pictures of my setup that I use for a Hangout. I have my Retina MacBook Pro in the front, and behind it I have a big monitor. So on the first picture, on the one on the left, I'm running Windows full screen. It happens to be Windows 7 there. And I'm running the Mac full screen, of course, on the laptop. That's a really nice configuration. And if you're lucky enough to have 3 monitors, you could have 2 big virtual machines running on those 2 big monitors behind you and the Mac in front. Or if you were going to work primarily in Windows OSs and you wanted the Windows OS right in front of you on your laptop, that's fine. And you could put the Mac OS on one of your other monitors. What Parallels Desktop 9 does is it uses the new technology to make this happen, and it also remembers your configuration. So if you've got this set up one way for the way you work at your office, and another way for how you work at home, when you take your laptop back and forth, Parallels Desktop will automatically remember that and put the right thing on the right monitor at one shot. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really is a convenience. The things are just set up the right way you want them, the way you want to work. Your workflow is more natural. You don't have to fuss around with things getting set up. So it's a great feature, and I use it all the time. I have multiple monitors both at home and here at work, and it's a real nice feature. Continuing, there's a feature in Mavericks called Enhanced Dictation, and I want to show you how that works in Parallels Desktop. So I'm going to close my presentation right now for a moment and move to Windows 7. So I have Windows 7 here on the top, and I'm running. And in case you didn't know, we support dictation in Windows applications. So any Windows application that can accept text can use the Mac OS dictation feature. This is an integration point we put in Parallels Desktop some time ago, and of course it still works. So to show you, what I'll do here is make the text a little bigger so you can see what's going on. And I'll do the standard thing to activate dictation, which is hit the function key twice. Come on, twice. This is a demo of dictation support in Microsoft Word. We'll try that again. I'll pronounce things a little better. This is a demo of dictation support in Microsoft Word. It's pretty nice. It's a great feature. And what the Parallels engineers did was made the Mac OS dictation feature work with Windows virtual machines and Windows applications. And that's really great. So now you're using the same dictation infrastructure. It's going to remember your accents and the things you've done to correct stuff and just be a better overall experience for you. In case you didn't know about the architecture of dictation, what it does is gather the speech data, send it off to the Apple servers, turns it into text, sends it back to you. Some people didn't like that, and they didn't like it for a couple of reasons, one of which you had to be online to use it. So in Mavericks, they've changed that. And I'll show you what they've done by opening up my system preferences here.
Hey, Kurt, let me interject real quick here.
Please.
Yeah, we got Simon. Simon just sent us a question here. He is saying that there's a bunch of people that are waiting to arrive at the link, but for some reason aren't connecting. Simon, if you're hopefully you're watching this, what I'd like you to do is exit out of the Hangout, go to the google.com/plus-parallels page, and then look for the Hangout and click on the Join Hangout button, and hopefully that will resolve your issue. So I just wanted to answer that question, Kurt. So sorry about that.
Please do. I want to make sure people can get on who definitely want to be here.
Exactly.
Great. So let me continue. So I just showed you the way dictation has worked since it first came out as a feature in the Mac OS. If you look now in Mavericks, they've added something they now call enhanced dictation. And enhanced dictation works offline. And that's really great. So you don't have an internet connection in the hotel you're at or whatever, someplace you're visiting. You can still do dictation. When you click that button the first time, it downloads about 1 gigabyte of speech data. So it can translate your speech into text. I've already done that. So I'm just going to turn on enhanced dictation. And the biggest difference you're going to see in Parallels Desktop is the following. This is a demo of enhanced dictation support in Microsoft Word. Notice I can keep talking. I can just keep talking and talking. I don't have to hit the done button. I don't have to hit the done button. That's really nice. In a Mac app, it works slightly differently, but in a Windows app, it works like you saw here. And previously, a dictation segment was limited to a certain amount of time. Now that's not the case because it will do the speech-to-text conversion on the fly, like you saw in that demo. And that's a nice feature. If you look on the Apple website, you can also see that they have added some dictation commands, like new paragraph, things like that. And those also help you dictate a much longer passage. And that's a nice feature to have, and we're real pleased that it works well in Parallels Desktop. I'm going to go back to my slides now.
Hey, Kurt, that's actually a pretty cool feature. I didn't realize that they had changed dictation like that, so you didn't have to keep holding the button down to dictate like that. That's really neat.
I think it is pretty neat, too. I think they probably didn't make it the default because it does require 1 gigabyte of information. And maybe if you're on a MacBook Air with a limited amount of storage, maybe you don't want to devote a whole gigabyte to that data. But I certainly did, and I think it's very reasonable, and I was real pleased how well it worked. Let me keep going through some places where Parallels Desktop takes advantage of Mavericks features. This one's harder to show, so I just made some screenshots to show you, and that is we're always trying to get the most performance with Parallels Desktop. Or, stated another way, we're trying to have it have the least effect on the battery of your laptop. So what we've been able to do by tweaking various parameters and changing the way Parallels Desktop works underneath is get about an additional 30 minutes of use of Parallels Desktop on a MacBook Air Desktop 9 compared to Parallels Desktop 8 on Mountain Lion. So we're taking advantage of Mavericks features. We've redone some stuff in Parallels Desktop itself. 30 extra minutes is kind of nice. That might mean the difference between finishing your presentation while you're on a plane going from one coast to the other, and we're real pleased that people have a little bit longer life on their battery. Parallels Desktop, when you're not doing anything in a Windows application, consumes almost no CPU time. It's when you're doing things that it does, but now it does it even more efficiently, taking advantage of features in Mavericks. And Skeeter reminded me yesterday that I could show the new energy tab in the activity monitor so you can get a feeling for what the consumption of battery time is on your machine while you're using it. And so I've done so here in this screenshot. I can't do it live easily. It's a long story, but I thought you'd like to see that and know you get a little bit more time with Parallels Desktop 9 on Mavericks.
Kurt, that's a nice feature that sort of snuck into Mavericks that Apple really made no mention of in any of the website information. The enhanced, not only battery usage for energy, but also the fact that, I don't know if you know this, but if you go up to on your laptop, if you go up to the Apple menu bar at the top and you click on that battery indicator, it will actually show you the applications that are using the most power.
Yeah, sometimes Apple puts a number of little features in a OS release, and they don't get that large amount of press that the big features do, but taken in cumulative, they're still a big addition. And this might convince me to move to Mavericks. I do so much traveling that that extra 30 minutes means a lot.
Sure does.
Continuing on, another feature that we added in Parallels Desktop a while ago is when Windows sends or a Windows application sends a notification to you, we then mirror that notification on the Mac desktop. And that's really great, especially if you've got Windows minimized in the dock, or it's even on another mission control space. Then you can still notice that, oh, I just got that message I was waiting for. I'll go now and read that message or reply to it. And so Outlook now sends the Outlook messages that are sent inside Windows now get replicated on your Mac desktop in the standard way that Notification Center does. And it's a really nice thing to have in Mavericks, and we take advantage of it in Parallels Desktop 9. Continuing, tags. Tags are really cool, but you have to see them first to know what they're useful for. So I'm going to open up a window here, and you'll notice, in addition to favorites up here, I have some tags down here. Tags are like virtual folders. All the files are still in the same places they were before, but with one click, you can go to all those files and see them in kind of a virtual folder for where are these things you need for this particular project. The advantage of this is you can then keep all your payroll data in one payroll folder, all your communications in another folder, and so on, and then just tag the ones that apply to a particular client or particular project, and you saw how quickly it goes there. You can even have multiple tags on one file or one folder. And Parallels takes advantage of this, and we tag some folders for you. So you can go, for example, to all the applications in a particular Windows OS that you have installed, or if it's an OS you don't use that often, you can go to all the OS applications in any of the virtual machines you have installed in Parallels, and that's nice. It just makes things easier. I wish we could tag files completely that are inside Windows. We can't do that because the Windows OS doesn't know anything about tags. But if you've shared a folder and you have between Parallels and the Mac, and so those files are in fact can be seen on the Mac, you could tag those files. So when people ask me, can I tag Windows files, my answer is, what's a Windows file? It's a file you use within a Windows program. It could be a file on your Mac. It could be anywhere. And so I can jump around in various tags and get effectively what are virtual folders with tags. It's a really nice way to keep your Mac organized the way you want to logically, but see it in different views comprising the projects you're working on and so on. It's a feature added to Mavericks, and we're taking advantage of it and using it in Parallels Desktop 9. Does that make sense, Skeeter? Have you used tags yet?
Yeah, I've tried. It's a feature that until you sort of come up with a tagging strategy in terms of how you would group your files and documents, I found I haven't started actually embracing it. One of the things I have noticed, however, Kurt, is that as you start using Apple's other software, so whether it's Pages or Keynote, as you save documents, what I've seen is that it's prompting you for tags. So again, Apple has built in the features to sort of enforce not enforce, but encourage you to use that capability. But again, I just haven't had a chance to really embrace it yet.
Yeah, I've used it now for a while. I like it. I do think I'm amazed how fast it is. And so it's almost as fast as opening up a normal folder, and yet it's really sort of grabbing things from all over your disk. I often have the case that I'd like to organize one way for one sort of task, or just in general, and organize things another way for a particular project I'm working on, or a deadline I have coming up, or something. And tags really fits that need very, very closely. And so I've been very pleased with this, and I think it's a nice Mavericks feature, and we're happy to have it integrated with Parallels Desktop.
Hey, Kurt, since you're on that screen showing different folders, one of the questions that came in earlier this week had to do with, apparently one of the new features in Mavericks had to do with tabs and the ability to actually have a Finder window that shows different tabs.
Yep.
Can you show us how you enable tabs?
I certainly can. So here I have a Finder window open. I can go up to the File menu and say New Tab. And then what I'll get, like you're familiar, if you've seen it in Safari, you will have another window that you can do things with. You can have that window go to your downloads. Now you can go back to the main hard drive window like this and click back and forth between the tabs. If you're used to and you like tab browsing in Safari, you're going to like tab folders in the Finder. So it's bringing that feature that was so well received in many different browsers and making it available to the main OS. It's a nice feature. And then, of course, to close a tab, just like you do in Safari, when your mouse is over the name of that tab, a little X button appears. Click on that, and it's gone. So tabs and tags, they sound very similar. They kind of do different sort of things, but they're all changes to the Finder or enhancements to the Finder.
Cool. Hey, Kurt, while you're pausing there, I know Simon's been able to join. I understand that there's quite a few people that have actually joined as participants, but they can't ask questions. I'm a little bit puzzled on Google's latest update that they've made to their software and why we're having trouble. But at least Simon's in, so let's continue, and I guess we'll go from there. Yeah,
I'm sorry people can't answer questions. I enjoy getting those and providing people with the data they're looking for. So those are the aspects of Mavericks that we've been able to do some integration work with. There are some other features in Mavericks that, while we don't integrate in PD, I think they'd be features that Parallels Desktop users might find interesting. And so let me talk about those for just a moment. So more Macintoshes in Mavericks now have PowerNap support. So PowerNap is a really nice feature. It lets the Mac do certain things for you even while it's sleeping. And the big reason why I think Parallels Desktop users will like that is we've been able to add that PowerNap support to Parallels Desktop also. So if you leave Windows running when you put your Mac to sleep, the Windows applications that are running will get a little bit of time when the Mac is sleeping, and be able to do operations like get your mail, update your calendar, stuff like this. And it's really kind of nice to have that. You get up in the morning, you open up the cover of your Mac, and your mail's already there. You have to wait for it. Your calendar's already updated. That's kind of nice. Now, what new Macs are available with PowerNap support? You can go to the Apple webpage about Mavericks, one of the many pages, and see the actual list of new Macs that can take advantage of PowerNap support. And I've highlighted it here. It's on an Others feature page about Mavericks.
Hey, Kurt, can you actually read that for everybody? Because seeing it from my side, it was small enough that I really couldn't read it well. If you don't mind,
I'm going to try. I'm going to try also to zoom in.
That's better.
And I'll try to zoom in one more time.
Hey, while you're zooming, Simon has actually done us a favor here, and he's reached out to several of the other folks and told them to come to a link that he's found that's working. So, Simon, kudos to you. Please reach back out to us after the Hangout, and let's see if we can get you, if nothing else, a Parallels WOW T-shirt or something.
Yep. Thank you. So I'll read this in case it's not so readable. What it says now is increased PowerNap support. iMac, late 2012 and newer. Mac Pro, late 2013. And Mac Mini, late 2012, now support PowerNap. So they stay up to date while they sleep.
You know, Kurt, I'm actually working on a 2012 iMac while I'm waiting for my 2013 to get replaced, as you know from the last time we did a Hangout, and it's neat how that works because, you know, I tend to leave my computer on all the time. Of course, I have it set that after a few hours, not only does the screen, of course, go off, but, you know, it puts the hard drives to sleep. But, you know, you come back, and meanwhile, you know, you've got new email, applications have updated. I honestly never thought that was something I would care about, but at least on my desktop computer here, boy, it really works well.
I agree, it's very nice. And that's one of the reasons we work so hard to put PowerNap support into Parallels Desktop. You do have to, of course, leave Parallels Desktop running and leave Windows running, but then if the applications that are running in Windows will get some slice of time during PowerNap. I did have a user ask me a question saying, hey, I looked all through Parallels, all the menus and so on. I never found a place to turn on PowerNap support. And the answer is because there is no place. You turn on PowerNap on your Mac, and Parallels Desktop will automatically take advantage of it. There's no extra controls to learn in Parallels Desktop. It just works the way it should in the background without you having to get involved.
That's very cool, Kurt.
Okay. So I'll mention a couple other features that I happen to think are really nice. One is I like Keychain a lot. Keychain will store passwords and things like this. We all go to lots of websites where you have an account, and we all have too many passwords and too many usernames, and it's a real hassle. So Keychain remembers those for you if you want. That's great. But I have several Macs I work on. So I might have stored the password to my Facebook account or something on one machine in Keychain, but on another machine I didn't. And so I have to do it again. I have to remember passwords, and it's becoming a real hassle. So iCloud Keychain now stores all those passwords in a secure way in iCloud. And therefore, any Mac you're on gives you the ability to retrieve those passwords easily. And that's a really kind of nice feature. It just makes the convenience. It's just like in iBooks. When you're reading something and you go to a new machine or an iPad or something, it'll go, hey, I thought you were on page 411. Shall I move to there now? Sure. And it goes there for you, and you're right reading your book right where you started, or right where you left off, excuse me. And I think that's a nice feature, especially for those of us that happen to use multiple Macs, one at work, one at home, things like that.
Hey, Kurt, I agree with you. That is cool. Also, I don't know if you know this, but the whole keychain functionality also will actually store your credit card information. So if you happen to be somebody, especially this time of year that we're coming up to, going holiday shopping, Christmas shopping, your credit card information will be saved for buying on Amazon and other website, other merchant websites like that. Hey, also, Kurt, we actually are getting some other people that have joined. SIKH Gamer, basically, thanks for making it into the Hangout here. Where we are right now is we're going through some of the new features on OS X Mavericks, and thanks for jumping in.
Great. Let me finish now with, in terms of my overview of Mavericks features, with the one that I think will be kind of interesting to Parallels Desktop users. All the Apple applications now have an export to PDF menu command. Here, for example, is Maps, and if I go up in Maps and look under File, I see Export to PDF. The reason why this is interesting is in Parallels Desktop 9, we also realized that PDF was a really common format for Mac users. So we added that to Windows applications inside Parallels Desktop 9. So that means any application that can print, there's a PDF printer, and what it will do is print your page and put the PDF on the Mac desktop for you. That's especially useful for a person that's using a Windows application for which there's no Mac counterpart. So maybe I'm using Publish or some other Office application. I want to send you the file to look at. I can't send you the native file because you can't open it up. But I can send you a PDF. And that just makes the Mac support of PDF even more ubiquitous to Parallels Desktop users. And so now, with this Mavericks change, that means export to PDF is basically in every application you're going to use, whether it's a Mac application or a Windows application. And I think that's a nice, consistent feature, and Mac users love consistency.
Hey, Kurt, that's huge, and you caught me again on something I hadn't realized with that whole export to PDF feature, because, I mean, in the past, on a Windows computer, you actually had to go out and either buy Adobe Acrobat or you had to buy a third-party PDF creator. You installed it, and in essence, you had to always do a print to PDF in order to generate a PDF. And you're saying now with the new export to PDF and Mavericks, Parallels Desktop 9 has been able to leverage that technology so that is natively built into Windows apps. That's really cool.
I think it's cool. I think it's especially cool that it puts the PDF on your Mac desktop, so it's ready to send to another Mac user to look at. And again, if you're using an application for which there is no Mac equivalent, you really have to do something like that. And so I agree that working with PDFs in Windows has been sometimes troublesome, and now it's way easier because of Parallels Desktop. So those are the main features I wanted to talk about in Mavericks. I also mentioned that I'd talk about a kind of more esoteric feature, and that's using Mavericks in a virtual machine. So why would you do this? Well, I will admit that the average user might not need this functionality very often. But a person who's a web developer, a person who's an app developer, is going to have wanted this kind of thing for years and years. And it's a really great feature. Maybe I want to test a beta version of my application, or an application a friend has given me to test. Beta applications can be a little problematic. They can do bad things on your system, and I always feel a little bit antsy when I'm running one, especially on my main system. But now, if I can have a Mavericks virtual machine, run that application there, I can look at my website to see how it works in an older version of Safari, for example. So having a Mac application, a Mac virtual machine, is really quite useful. Now, on my Macintosh here, my demo Mac, I actually have Lion, Mountain Lion, and Mavericks. And let me show you how you make one of those. It's really quite easy. You can go right here and just go to the New command. If you don't have the virtual machine list up, you can also go to the File menu up here and just say New. And when you do, you get the Parallels New Virtual Machine Wizard. And of course, this helps you with the most commonly used operations with regard to creating virtual machines. But also you'll see down here, it has, hey, make me a Mavericks virtual machine. And all you do is click this continue button and it starts. It starts grinding away, building you that Mavericks virtual machine. That's all there is to it. You can't get much easier than that. It doesn't take like a minute or so. It takes like 20 or 30 minutes. Nothing we can do about that. Installing an OS takes some time. But I can show you what you get when you're done. And here I have Mavericks running in a virtual machine on Mavericks. So at this moment right now, in my demo machine here, I'm running on Mavericks on the machine as the host OS. I have Windows 7, I have Windows 8, and I have Mavericks all running simultaneously. For a developer like me, this is just a godsend, and people have wanted this for a long, long time. Apple finally made the appropriate changes to their licensing, that you could do this for Lion and Mountain Lion and Mavericks. If you want to go back further in time, you have to use the server OSs like Snow Leopard Server, that sort of thing, again, to comply with the Apple licensing. But this is a really great way to do things. I helped a webmaster friend of mine set up a bunch of virtual machines with different versions of IE in each one, different versions of Safari in different macOS virtual machines, and my friend can now test his website like on 5 or 6 different browsers at exactly the same time. That's so efficient because he had all his web creation tools on that same Macintosh, and so his productivity has just increased dramatically. Mm-hmm. I will admit, not every user will care about this, but the ones that do will care about it a lot, I think.
That is cool, Kurt. You had multiple Mac OS X operating systems along with Windows operating systems there. I saw on your virtual machine list, like me, and I think it's important to point out, at least I think it is that with a machine that's got say 8 gigabytes of RAM or more, and how your software optimizes the use of RAM for these virtual machines, you can actually have all of these running concurrently, or a lot of them running concurrently, and actually interactively develop across multiple OSs.
You're absolutely correct, Peter. The way I normally pitch this is you can install as many operating systems in Parallels Desktop as you have space on your hard drive. You can run as many simultaneously as you have RAM. You're right, RAM is the limiting factor for running, and your disk space is the limiting factor for installing. So you could literally have 20 or so operating systems all ready to run on your Mac in Parallels Desktop. Cool. So that's the one sort of geeky feature I wanted to talk about. So let me tell you, if I've interested you in Mavericks and in Parallels Desktop 9, that's great. So what do you need to do? So what you need to do depends on which version of Parallels Desktop you have. If you have Parallels Desktop 9, just make sure you have the latest update, and you do that by going to the menu item I show here, check for updates, and install that, and you're ready to go. Move to Mavericks, everything's great. If you have Parallels Desktop 8, you can either upgrade to 9 in order to take advantage of the Mavericks features I've mentioned, or you can get the latest update to Parallels Desktop 8 and then go ahead and move to Mavericks. And things will work just fine. You won't be able to use the Mavericks features I outlined here in Parallels Desktop if you haven't moved to 9. If you have Parallels Desktop 7 or earlier, you really need to upgrade before you move to Mavericks. Otherwise, you won't be able to use any of your Windows applications. You won't be able to open your Windows environments and get the data out of those if you've stored it there. So you really want to upgrade to Parallels Desktop 9 first, and then move to Mavericks. Like I said, I've done Mavericks installs on 3 or 4 machines now. It takes about an hour, but it's gone very smoothly for me. No glitches or hiccups along the way at all. And I've been very pleased with how the migration has gone for me. And I hope that you get the same experience. Now, if you want to check on other people's experience, or you want more information, Of course, a good place to go if you're looking for information specifically about a Mac OS and Parallels Desktop, you want to go to the Parallels forums. And I have the link here for you. That's where other people can discuss and ask questions and get answers either from the user community or from our Parallels support team about various things related to OSs. Apple has I've had a large number of Mavericks pages on their main website, talks about all the features, what they can do, shows you them in operation. That's really great. Personally, when I'm looking for the latest information about a Mac OS release or application compatibility or application use, I go to Mac News, which always gives me the greatest it's a feeder site that gathers information from all sorts of other sites. That's really great. Or I also go to Macintosh because that gets a lot of user communications. People will ask questions, and the next day you'll have 3 or 4 answers from different people around the world. And so I go there a lot. And those are places I'd recommend to double check. Maybe you're running a really unusual application you know is not real popular. You might want to double check with people to make sure that it runs and runs fine before you do an OS upgrade.
Hey, Kurt, the other side I would add to that I personally use a lot is the community support forums that actually Apple runs off their main website. I find that you can find some pretty good information there, and they're actually pretty well moderated by Apple, too.
Agreed. So,
what
I have planned to say about Mavericks today and Parallels Desktop 9. If there are other questions that we haven't answered along the way, I'm happy to try to answer them now together with you.
Hey, Kurt, just to go back briefly on the version 8 versus version 7, I just want to point out to people I'm going to share my screen. So this is the Parallels.com page, and if you go to Parallels.com/products, you actually get to the Parallels Desktop 9 page. If you've got version 8 or version 7, you can upgrade. There's a button right here that says upgrade for $49.99. That right now is, I guess, a limited time offer to some degree, but what's cool about it is that not only can you get the latest Windows 8 and some of the cool features you talked about with the integration with Mavericks, Kurt, but it also includes Parallels Access, or at least 6 months of Parallels Access included in that $49 upgrade price. So I think that's worthwhile. So any curiosity to see if we have any other questions that have come in here, but I wanted to at least point that out to everyone. Well, let's see, Kurt. I'm going to go back to the other list that we pulled together here. We talked about multi-monitor support in Mavericks. Can you go back and show how Parallels Desktop Mac takes advantage of that? Is that something you could easily do?
I can easily do that, yes.
Okay.
I can't show it live because Google Hangout only lets you show one screen at a time. And I think I'm now sharing that. Do you see it?
Yeah, I do see it.
So what Mavericks enhances the technology built into the Mac OS for dealing with multiple monitors. That's great. Parallels Desktop 9 builds on top of that new technology in Mavericks to make the multi-screen experience even better. And here you see 2 examples. On the left, I have Windows in full screen on a second monitor. And on the right, I actually have 2 versions of Windows running, Windows 8 and Windows 7. Actually, I think I have 3, and Windows XP, all running at the same time in their own little windows on that big screen. And one of the advantages of Parallels Desktop 9 is because it's using that new technology from Mavericks, it'll actually remember all these configuration information. When you plug that Mac in to those multiple monitors, it'll know what to do with the various virtual machines. And that just simplifies your life a little bit. And that, because it's running on top of the Mavericks new way of doing multi-monitor support, it's going to be even better than it was before.
Hey, Kurt, since I haven't checked this out myself yet, when you're in Mavericks, does the dock now show on both monitors? That was something I thought I'd read, but I haven't had a chance to go back and try it myself.
I also thought I read that too, and it's not what we read was not correct.
Okay.
The dock shows on one monitor, but it will jump back and forth between the monitors depending on where the active application is.
Oh.
That's actually kind of nice. What does show in every monitor is the Mac menu bar. I don't know if you can tell, on the monitor you're seeing right now, the Mac menu bar is a little bit sort of dimmed out.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm not there. But if I go there, now it's active and live.
Oh, I see that. Okay, cool.
And that's kind of nice. Because, if you had several monitors, your menu bar was way over on the right, it would be kind of a hassle to have to go over there to use some menu command. They put it in every place now. The dock shows up on the active monitor.
Okay. Well, Kurt, I think we're done. I guess want to apologize to the folks that either joined late or are only watching this as a sort of as a silent broadcast here. Google updated their software, and I don't know if we caused a problem when we launched the Hangout so that people couldn't join the link that should have been available. But I guess at least the good news, Kurt, is that these are recorded and they're available as a replay, so at least people can join us or at least watch it as an after-the-fact kind of thing. If you do have questions, for those of you that have watched this as a replay, please go into the Hangout on the Parallels Plus Google Plus page and note your questions within that event. And Kurt and I will actively watch for that. And if you do have questions, we'll certainly answer them to the best of our abilities offline. So hopefully that will at least try to make up for the little bit of the technical snafu we had on this one. Kurt, is there anything else you wanted to add before I try to wrap this up?
No, I think it went well. I've been very pleased with my use of Mavericks so far. Like I said, I've upgraded 3 or 4 machines, and it went flawlessly for me. And I'm real pleased about the integration between Parallels Desktop 9 and Mavericks. And so now I'm converting all my machines to it.
Yeah, I agree. I've got all of our machines here at Mac Village Media running in Mavericks, and just love the experience. And not that this is relevant specifically to this topic, but I tell you, the Windows Start menu that became part of the Windows 8 experience with Desktop 9 is just phenomenal. It really makes a very sweet combination. So that's kudos to you guys. Just to wrap up our next session, we don't have an actual firm date yet, but we are planning to do one probably the first week in December, right after the Thanksgiving holiday. So we certainly wish everyone a wonderful holiday with their family for this coming Thanksgiving. We're looking at different topics, so I don't want to pre-announce something until the team locks in a specific topic, but we would love your input. We'd like to hear the things you would care about that you would like to participate in with Parallels and myself. And thanks for joining. Kurt, anything else?
Nope. Thanks again, Skeeter.
You're welcome, Kurt, and thank you. Take care, guys. Bye now.